All right, Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to the Akim out here that's doing and pushing this work in truth and in sincerity. Want to go on this video, which I've been, meditating on, thinking about, why people. I asked ChatGPT this question: why do some people have the audacity to do and say things without fear? Okay, and it says because audacity usually isn't about fearlessness; it's about what's missing or what's been overwritten in a person. A few common reasons says number one, some people. It says low fear of consequences. Some people genuinely don't believe anything bad will happen to them, either because they've gotten away with things before or if they've never been checked. That builds boldness over time. Okay? It says entitlement mindset. They feel like rules don't apply to them or that their wants matter more than other people's feelings. Okay, so they speak and act without restraint. Lack of empathy. If someone doesn't really feel or consider how their words, actions affect others, there's nothing internally stopping them from crossing lines. Okay? Number 4, confidence, real or fake. It says some are just very confident and outspoken. Others perform confidence to mask insecurity. Being loud or bold becomes a shield. Okay? Desensitization. Okay? Say that word 7 times fast. It says if they grew up in environments where disrespect, confrontation, or bluntness was normal, what feels audacious to you feels regular to them. Okay? It says different value systems. What you see as out of pocket, they might see as honesty, assertiveness, or strength. Impulsiveness. It says lack of discipline. Some people just don't filter themselves well. They act on what they feel in the moment without thinking it through. Okay? People will often keep that same energy until someone or something checks it. Social consequences, loss, or accountability. Okay? And, 2 people that come to mind, okay, when it comes down to this, okay, or 2 types of people is, our main enemies in this thing. Okay? Esau, which is a so-called white man, and the black, the black woman, the ninja woman. Okay? Which, when you look at and we're going to get that word audacity, we're going to get scriptures as well. When you look at, the mindset that these people have, they move in a way of not having any fear, okay, of consequences, okay, so they're bold in whatever it is that they do. The scriptures, talking about because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the sons of man is set in them fully to do wickedly. Okay, so these people, Esau, the black woman, though they don't fear God, they don't even think about God at all, it's fully in their mind to just, do and say wicked things, commit heinous acts. Okay? Now, of course, we got to get the scriptures. Okay? It says, the Bible doesn't frame this kind of audacity as something admirable. It usually ties it to pride, lack of fear of the Lord, and a hardened heart. At the same time, it teaches that men of the Lord are supposed to move with fear, restraint, and accountability to God, not reckless boldness. Okay, why people act without fear? Okay, the biblical view. Oh, and I just quoted that. Look at that, right? Because judgment isn't immediate, right? Ecclesiastes 8:11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Okay, when people don't see consequences right away, they get bold in wrongdoing. And there's going to be a point in time, okay, where these people who, let's talk about the black woman, okay, they're going to start waving that white flag real soon, man. Okay, being on that feminist bandwagon. The scriptures say, then she that is my enemy, okay, which says, where is thy Lord? Same shall cover her, okay, when she shall be trodden down like the mire in the streets. Okay, so a lot of these women who have that audacity, that they can just say whatever they want to, okay, and nothing comes of it, okay. When you're not able to call the police, okay, when you can't just call your any man, something happens, and you got all these simps and men that just come, to the defense of the woman, regardless of whether that woman is, if that woman could be 100% wrong, okay, 1,000% wrong, and they know that woman is wrong, okay, but then the man does something, to even defend himself, okay. A lot of men, a lot of women, they have that security of, the backing when it comes down to, they could do something wrong, and then their fathers, their family members, friends, or men that they don't even know would even come to defend them. Heck, Esau would come back, the police would defend them, okay. When all that stuff is done away with and they're not able to do those things, freely, and the man just attacks them, okay, which that's going to happen, okay. A lot of these women are going to, start feeling that. You're going to say something wrong to the wrong man, okay, during those times, and it's going to come back on you right then and there, okay. Because during those times, a lot of men ain't gonna be, taking no shit from these women, and if it's a Edomite that's saying certain things or whatever, when Esau's power structure is gone, okay, you got these race wars, and you might have been this Edomite racist cracker, a Karen or something like that. A lot of Edomites going to end up getting, judgment too, right then and there, and these things might be, fatal. Okay, these situations might be fatal for some people. Okay, it might be, life threatening. Okay, so you're going to see those consequences right away. As soon as you say that wickedness or wicked shit. And it could be a buildup of it, okay? Immediately, that judgment is going to come. But right now, it's like you got the liberty to be able to just do whatever the heck you want to. Say what you want to, okay? And it's all cool. It's fine and dandy, okay? So it says, pride removes fear, okay? I'm going to get that Psalm, the 10th chapter, because that's the scripture that I had in mind, okay? The wicked through the pride of his... I'm going to read it, when I get to it, okay? It says, Proverbs 21 and 24. It says, proud and and haughty scorner is his name, who deals in proud wrath. Pride convinces a person they're untouchable. And soon a lot of people gonna realize that you're not untouchable. Okay, you're gonna realize that soon enough. Okay, because you're gonna get touched. Okay, then you're gonna be crying out for help, and it's like you ain't gonna have no help. Okay, a lot of people gonna be crying out to God, and you ain't gonna have God to call out to, because you didn't even think about God when you was being wicked. Okay, it says no fear of God in them, and when those things happen, you calling out to God, you got to realize that that's judgment. Okay, the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, is judging you. Romans 3:18, there is no fear of God before their eyes. This is the root issue. If someone doesn't fear the Most High, nothing restrains them. Okay? Those of us that's in the know, we move with some type of restraint. Even if we say certain things, we might, go back on it after thinking about it, because it's like, oh shoot, man, I don't know if the Lord might approve of that. Maybe I went a little too rough. Especially mainly when it comes to brothers. But we might say, we don't know whether this person that we might have got on, cussed out, or whatever the case may be, might be, might come around to it or whatever, But a lot of these people that, have no fear, okay, they just straight up bold, okay? See, some people think that we just bold, against a lot of people with no fear of the Lord. Okay, that's totally the opposite. They think we just, cuss out people for no reason. When the things that we say, we're supposed to say these things because the Lord told us to. Okay, we supposed to set our eyes and heart, against evil. Okay, in opposition to everybody who opposes themselves, okay, and these scriptures. We're supposed to defend these scriptures. We're supposed to defend the truth. Okay? And that's out of the fear of the Lord, because if we don't, then we're not showing that we fear the Lord. Okay? It says they trust in their own power. Micah 2:1. It says they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. People do bold wickedness and simply because they can. Like Trump, he was able to just, go into Iran, okay, and not even fear any consequences, okay, and the mindset that they have towards, that this war that's going on, Operation Epic Fury. We're not going, we're not stopping until they surrender. No negotiations with them. Okay? Even that mindset, where you get the audacity to do such a thing. And like I said, all that stuff is going to come back to haunt. Esau, the nigga woman. Okay, Esau, is with America, the audacity, what they say, the bald eagle, has no natural predators. Okay, a bald eagle is like, who can attack me? They fly the highest, and they're like an apex predator. Okay, it's like who can take me down? Okay, but there's a higher power that's going to take you down. Okay, and when it comes down to Iran, okay, these other nations going to jump in on the mix with this, this situation, okay? And it's going to come back to bring judgment on Esau, okay? Who been having the audacity to just go out and be wicked, okay? Destroying nations and stuff like that, and thinking nothing gonna come out of it. Okay, it says Apocrypha on boldness and shamelessness. Okay, it says the Apocrypha goes even harder on this topic, linking shameless behavior to a lack of discipline and honor. And a lot of these people don't have honor. They wear that audacity like it's a badge of honor. Okay, and they're therefore the only way that they gonna know is through violence, man. Okay, you got to talk that language to these people, because that's the only language that these people know. Okay, they only know violence. So when you get violent with them, and they realize that they ain't got no backing, okay, they ain't got nobody to help them out or to bail them out of that situation, and it's just you and dealing with that, that violent talk. Now, it's like, are you able to back it up now? You're able to die on that hill, okay? Sirach 25 and 22. A woman, if she maintains her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. Impudence equals shameless boldness, lack of respect. Okay? And that's how a lot of women, act even towards, their man. And it's like, hold on, you chose this man. Why are you acting like that towards this man that you chose? That shows that being you being my woman ain't a sense of honor. Ain't no honor that coming with that if you just think that you can just say whatever the fuck you want to. Now we just, we talk about, the scriptures talk about, maintaining her husband, because, you got some jakes that, do just want to sit back and just let their women just do every goddamn thing. Pay all the bills, and, you just sitting back eating a bowl of Fruit Loops and shit like that, And your woman, in certain cases, she might, might say some shit, But, it's still supposed to be a sense of honor with that, a sense of respect, of courtesy, okay? It says, no shame equals spiritual decay. Sirach 26 and 11. If she be not ashamed, hold her as a sinner. A lack of shame is directly tied to sin. Okay? So, the sin, starts even before somebody even goes out there and go do the act in a lot of cases. Okay? Can't just be a woman that just talks, disrespectfully and just think that that's not a sin. Okay? And a woman who does that, right? What's stopping you from going out there and going to go commit adultery? Okay? Or just leaving, okay? Or going to go do something that's of the world, okay? Which may be Esau putting that battery into your back. And this goes to all the tribes, not just the black women, okay? Because you got some of these Latin tribes, okay, so-called Latin tribes that do that same thing, okay? They got an attitude just, as feisty as the black woman too, It's just the black woman is under more curses than the other tribes, okay? The black women, in the kingdom, when you see that how they act, it's be like a whole, 180. I would say, because a 360 would be, you know, like you turning around right back to the wickedness. But a 180 would be like, yo, hold on, was that, you know, Bone Quisa, or, you know, whatever, Kisa from Babylon that was, you know, acting that way? You remember how she was? You know, it ain't gonna be none of that no more. Okay, all of this, you know, talking back to men, you know, because for the longest has always been, you shouldn't talk to a woman that way. No, it's really that women shouldn't be talking to a man that way. Okay, that woman should have some type of, you know, fear to that man, because don't you know that what that man can do to you? You know, now you got videos of women whipping men asses and stuff like that, you know, on the internet. You know, that might be one case, man, a one case scenario. You got this fucking Clarissa Shields, I think that's her name, you know, talking about she can box men. You know, you get into the ring with these men and they knock your ass out, and a lot of these men, you know, might hold back on these women, you know, because, you know, I don't want to hit a girl. Okay, but yeah, all those women that, you know, thinking that you could take on a man and everything like that, man, that shit is gonna be a thing of the past, man. Okay, it says the ungodly speak boldly without fear. Wisdom of Solomon 2:1-5. It says the ungodly reason that life is short and meaningless. Excuse me. It says, so they do whatever they want without fear of judgment. That mindset leads to reckless speech and actions. Okay, the Bible is clear. Men of God are not supposed to be reckless or shameless. They are supposed to fear the Lord. Okay, Proverbs 1:7. Okay, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Proverbs 8:13. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy. Do I hate? Okay, real fear of God makes you check your actions and your mouth. Okay? We might say certain things that might seem like it's reckless, but at the consideration, you know, you'd be like, you know what? Hey, I ain't trying to, you know, have nothing, you know, on my name, you know, that could tarnish me from, you know, being up the hopeful elect. Okay? So the things that we say and do, you know, is tied to and linked to fear. Okay? So we fear consequences. You really fear the Lord, you fear the consequences of, you know, what will happen if you go off. Okay? If you just saying whatever the heck you want to anybody, okay? Saying the wrong things according to scriptures, okay? And then until that time when that judgment comes, you know, you might just be holding back and sitting back until that time, until it's time for, you know, for the judgment to start coming. And you know, we might, you know, be reserved right now until that time. Okay? We have our reservations on a lot of things, and, you know, able to not be quick to judgment or quick to anger. Okay? Because when that time comes, man, and, you know, whatever, you know, brother got the restraint, okay, constraint, whatever, okay, to be able to let it out, because it's going to come out. If you're a man of the Lord, it's going to come out, whether on this side or, you know, when, you know, shit get real. Okay? That's just the nature of this thing. Okay? This anger, the stress, and all that stuff is going to come out. Okay? It needs a release. Okay? You're seeing this wickedness and all that stuff. Eventually, the men of the Lord, when you go into the Bible, you know, even Yahweh, okay, is going to get to a point where he going to release. Okay? Because it's like he's done with it. Okay? So as a man of the Lord, you might think that you have the reservation, you know, and then when that time comes, it's like, boom, now it's time to bring that judgment. Okay? And who knows who that may end up being on. Okay? Who knows? And you know, you don't want to be in that, you know, court on the other end. Look at the angels that went to Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? You don't think that they had restraint until they started seeing all the wickedness, and then they just let go on them fucking wicked people, man. Okay? So the men of the Lord got restraint right now, but when it's just time to let it go, man, whew, you can forget about it. Okay? Some brothers is ready to go right now, ready to even let loose on 2/3 niggas. You know? And it's like rightfully so. Okay? But when it's that time and you know, okay, yeah, it's that moment, you can forget about it, man. It says men must watch what they say. Ecclesiastes 5:2. Be not rash with thy mouth. James 1:19. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak. A man of the Lord is measured, not reckless. Okay? You gotta calculate your steps. Okay? Fear keeps you from sin. Proverbs 16:6. By the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. Exodus 20:20. That his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. Fear isn't weakness, it's restraint. Okay? We can't just, you know, act recklessly and just go out there and just do whatever we want willy-nilly. Okay? Because then, you know, you're showing that you're not really fearing Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Okay? Philippians 2:12, it says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You know, we not no choir boys. Let me say that. Okay? You know, that, you know, you can just come up and just do whatever the hell you want to, you know, to us. You know? Because that's what a lot of people, you know, they get us mixed with those Christians. You know? And it's like, no, man, when that time comes and we in the heat of the moment, you know, who knows what may happen. We would be willing to live with the consequences compared to these other people, you know? Because you thought about it. These people don't think about, you know, the things that they do. You know? They don't think about whether or not that they, you know, when they say this stuff or whether they do this, you know, this act that is wicked. Okay? You would contemplate, you know, if you're a man of the Lord, whether your actions are wicked before you do them. Okay? And then once you get to that moment of actually like, nope, this is what the fuck it is. This is the Lord pushing me to that point. Then it's like, you know, yeah, it is what it is, man. Okay? 1 Peter 1:17. Pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. This is a lifestyle, not a moment. Okay? Apocrypha on fearing the Lord. Sirach 1:11-12. The fear of the Lord is honor and glory, makes a merry heart. Sirach 2:15. They that fear the Lord will not disobey his word. Fear brings order, discipline, and stability. Okay? So his bottom line, according to the scripture, people act boldly without fear because they lack fear of the Lord. They are lifted up in pride and don't expect judgment. But a man of the Lord, he checks himself, he guards his speech, he moves with fear and accountability to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Okay? Let's get that word audacity. Okay? It says, audacity is a noun referring to a confident, daring, or bold quality often characterized by a reckless disregard for personal safety, convention, or social norms. So you're doing these things, this reckless behavior, without a regard for how you personally, are going to make out on the end. And it's like, okay, you might say these things, you might be able to bully somebody, okay, without realizing that, okay, if I bully everybody, maybe, I could end up getting harmed because I could try the wrong one. Okay? And that's what's going to happen. A lot of people going to end up trying the wrong one, and they're going to see, that you've been doing this too long, and now it's time for you to shut the fuck up. Okay? And you might try this one person, they might do something, and then the next person, and then the next person. And it's like, yep, now you're learning your lesson, man. Okay? Because it's going to be to the point where a lot of these people ain't going to be able to keep on escaping the judgment. Okay? Psalm 10:2, it says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Okay? And it's like, okay, eventually somebody gonna be on that time. Okay, because you might have pushed that person to that limit. Okay? Of to that point of no return. Okay? Especially when we talk about, Jacob's trouble, and people already on the brink of, you don't know where your next meal gonna come from. You got somebody that's trying to get smart with you. Like, come on now. People are already dealing with a lot of bullshit already as is. Might have just lost his job. It's like this person might have just lost patience, man. And I'm talking about to a person that don't have this truth. And it's like, yeah, now that person got to let that stress out. Okay? It says, the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is not in all his thoughts. Okay? So that means they don't have no accountability when it comes down to the punishment or what it is that they do. And that's talking about Esau, and Jake women. Some people have this mindset that God is with them, and they're going to realize that the Lord ain't with you. And that's what that's not a mindset that a hopeful elect man will have. It says, his ways are always grievous. Our judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffs at them. Okay? He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. Okay? And this is the mindset of a wicked person. Okay? You don't think that Satan you've been acting like Satan all day. Satan ain't somebody that you could really trust. You made deals with the devil. Now the devil is about to turn his back on you. And then, those top wicked elite, they're going to realize that, they was in Satan's trick bag. Because Satan, at the end of the day, he does whatever the Lord tells him to do. Okay? You've been a devil throughout the whole world, okay? And now it's time for you, to pay up. So, that's pretty much the point, okay? Yeah, a lot of these people have the audacity to do stuff without fear, but that's going to come to an end, man. Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to say shalom until next time.